Hi, teachers. This is it. Capstone time. So today, my objective is to go over with you what you'll be doing on week 20, which is the first week of Capstone, and for those of you who missed our meeting last week, to review on the second half the documentation that you missed. I want to introduce you to. Okay, so when you meet the kids on next Wednesday, all right, here's a slideshow like we've done before, available for you with our objectives, which is to introduce the Capstone project. All right, and the goal is they're going to begin a graphic organizer to help them outline their ideas. So we want to do a quick review on what are the big topics that were the big headings that we've looked at this year, which is social justice and environmental justice. So here are the definitions, and just simply read through it again with them, maybe discuss it, remind them of the big overarching themes that we've looked at so far. And then discuss what a capstone project is. Most students do not know what a capstone project means or what it is, as they've never had to do one before. So maybe just have a discussion with them of what it's sort of like. It's just it's just a big research project that you guys have to do and present it to the rest of the class. Now, obviously, their objective is to create a project that uses the theme of environmental justice while linking it to just social justice. This also means that they're looking into sometimes the science and how it impacts people. So it's not just about science, it's about how we affect the world around us, mostly people. So here's a breakdown. You don't have to go into depth about this, but here's a breakdown of the 10 weeks that this project is going to take place and the work that you have to do in class and the work that the kids will be doing at home, or not necessarily at home, but they'll be at home obviously, but during the global learning time when you have left them to do their own work after they've checked in with you. Now, when you're finished with the little presentation we have here, we want you to provide for them the link, which we'll post obviously in your Google Classroom, the link to this Padlet. The Padlet has all of their project choices. So I'm going to go there now to the Padlet, and you can even go there. The link is right here. If you click on this, it'll bring you right to this page here. And you can show them how they can scroll through and pick different choices of some of the biggest topics and domains that we've looked at. They can pick any topic they want in here. If there's a topic that's not here that they want to do or research, these are just a starting point. As long as they find an idea that is related in some way, shape, or form to environmental justice and social justice, and you approve it, that's fine. You can even send them our way if you're not sure. But basically, we want the kids to pick anything that interests them. Again, these are just a recap of a lot of the videos that we've watched, and they can branch off of this however they please. As you scroll over more to the right, explain to them, here are your deliverables. Explain to them what a deliverable is. I know Mr. Pinsker uses that word a lot in 6th grade, but we have some new students with us again that they're going to do a research on these topics, or they pick one, right? Then they're going to come over here and pick one deliverable. How are they going to share what they have learned with the rest of the class? We will go into this more detail in week 2 and 3. So there's no need for them to right now pick one. All right, they can just get excited about it, but there's no need for them to pick one because right now the job is, after you let them go, is to simply research and find good resources just to start gathering information and to start picking an idea that interests them. The next column over is obviously important links to documents that we have, like our calendar, the rubrics, deliverables that are breakdown, and on the last row, the PowerPoints that you taught. Both part 1 and part 2 are linked here. They have access to view them, not to edit them, but they have access to view them. So if they want to go back and look at a lesson again and say, hey, I remember watching this video, but I can't find it on the internet. Here can I go to find it again, okay? Now, during week 20, so during your first week here that you're doing, this will be posted in your Google Classroom during your opening presentation, okay? So during your little PowerPoint slide, when you're talking about what is social justice and what is environmental justice, we would like the students to fill in these boxes here. All right, it doesn't have to be the definition on the slide. It could be their own definition, all right? How they interpret it, how they understand it. So using their own words is fine. But we want them to follow along with you and fill it in as they go. Then down below, once they're at the Padlet and they're looking around, here is everything that we discussed that's in the Padlet in checkbox form. So they can go through and they can check or highlight some of their favorite topics, some of the ones that interest them the most. Then, once you let them free, their challenge is to fill in these resources. So basically, to summarize what it says here, is that they need to find 2 of their favorite topics and find 3 credible resources for them to look at to do their research. So they'll write their topic in here. Maybe it's greenhouse gases. They'll go online, they'll find 3 links, they'll post the links there, or a book or whatever it is, they'll paste in here the resource they're using. Now, this is important. They must click here and they must watch the video that Ms. Johnson made. Ms. Johnson does an excellent video about how to determine whether a resource is credible or not trustworthy. Or not necessarily not trustworthy, but just how do you know you're getting good information? And she actually does a good instance about Wikipedia. So they need to watch it. It's only a few minutes long. That is week 20. So you're going to go over the PowerPoint with them, do a recap with them during the PowerPoint, explain to them what a capstone is, show them the Padlet, click on it, show it to them, help them see that they can look through and find topics. They need to fill in these 3 definitions, again, their own words. Then they need to come down here and start checking off boxes based off the Padlet, what they like. They're going to submit this back to us as their week 20 challenge. Okay, so their challenge for week 20, once you do your presentation and they have their own time to work, they need to fill in these links down here, okay? And none of them should say Wikipedia, ... okay? That is it for week 20. So if you were with me already last week for our meeting, you can feel free and go. But for the rest of you, I kind of want to go over the other paperwork that we had that we'll be handing out, just so you can have an idea of what's coming, and so things are recognizable to you. I want to take a look at the rubric. All right, this rubric will be posted. It's actually in the Padlet too. Students do not need to understand this on week 1. There's no need. You will be part of your future presentations to go through the rubric though. But I just want you to see what's coming, okay? Now, in this rubric, we already recognize that there are a lot of different deliverables, poems, scientific experiments with lab reports, to writing a representative in the Congress, a very wide variety of things that they can choose from, even a game board, right? How do you make one rubric that can handle all of those? It's very hard. So we're keeping it very generic so that we can apply it to any different project. So vocabulary, they have to have 5 content-specific vocabulary words, and they have to be able to use them in the correct contents. That's important. Then they must have 3 credible and reliable resources that are not Wikipedia. So basically, you're trying to teach them how to do just good research. When they discuss and talk about their research, anything that's scientifically founded, all right, do they use good data? Are their facts solid? All right, and do they support their claims with evidence? That's the key thing. That's a big part of SBAC. It's a big part about the new science standards. Is do they support their claims with evidence? Is their project, the final product, is it visually appealing? All right, no major mistakes. Do the colors look good? The fonts look good? All those things that you just look at and go, someone put a lot of time and effort into that. Environmental issues. Do they address a particular environmental issue? Do they address it correctly? And does the student go into depth about the issue? Social justice. Now, obviously, doing a scientific experiment is not necessarily like going out there raising awareness for a social justice issue. However, there can be a link and a connection made about how their research can affect others out there. So we can apply this to any category, any deliverable. So do they make a strong connection to a social justice theme or an issue? All right, how is their research related to people and fairness and equity? And can they show how it impacts people around the world or even in their local given area. And finally, professionalism, grammar mistakes, and then do they know their audience, right? How well is it written? Is it written, correctly? Correct your punctuation and grammar. So there is our rubric. Now we all know that if we leave 7th and 8th graders to their own devices for 10 weeks, that's not going to go well. If I just say, hey, go do a research project and make a video and come back to me in 10 weeks, probably not going to go well. So what we did is for every one of the deliverables mentioned in the Padlet and on that checkoff sheet, we went through and we made more of a description or like a checkoff point and a place where you can find help and guidance to do that deliverable and to make it come out well. So like the first one here is, all right, if you choose to write a letter to your local representative, how do you do that? Well, one, you could probably go see Mr. Chandler or Miss Hopes for help. Social studies, that's right up their alley. That's kind of their thing. They can get some information, get some guidance from them. But maybe they've never done it before. So here's a YouTube video, all right, that describes in detail how to actually write a letter to your local congressperson. So where do you start? First, it shows you the links and the locations to go online to figure out who your local congressperson is. Or do you want to do local or do you want to do federal? All right. What branch of government obviously do you want to look into, and what maybe party, not necessarily parties, but what uh, sector do they are they really stuck in the words right now? What um, associations or what committees? There we go. What committees is that congressperson a part of? So you can go there, find them. Then it tells them, okay, here's how you address the letter. Here's how you start and open your letter. Here's how you put the body in, and here's how you wrap up your letters. Just the formatting of writing a letter to a congressperson. So we did that for every single one, like a children's book. How do you write a children's book? We found an author online who does a good job explaining how she writes children's books at a very simple level, but make sure that she has characters, plot, problems, themes, and settings, right? And then a resolution to the story and talking about how to add pictures. So there's a resource from a professional who actually does this for a living. We did that for every single category as much as possible. Now, obviously, if they need help with engineering, all right, Mr. Petrescu is a great resource, and Ms. Blackwood also, as Mr. Lee is out right now. So podcasts, TED Talks, we have a lot of options out here that they can choose from, and here is guidance and things that we'll be looking for. So if they choose to do an experiment, hey, I'll be looking for their lab notebook. All right? I will be looking to make sure that they've documented their findings, that they have written an analysis, included citations, okay, and that they've supported their claims with evidence. So here is a go-to sheet that we will not give them the first week. Probably the second or third week, we'll give it to them saying, here's the place you can go for help and for guidance, okay? So for the first 2 or 3 weeks, you will provide a mini lesson. We'll provide you the PowerPoints. I'll make a video again. And along with those PowerPoints, or along with your mini lesson you to do, again, 5-10 minute lesson, we'll provide you a breakdown for them. We want all the students to have, we'll find it right here. We want them to have a good success rate. So we really want to coach them. We want to help them. We don't want to just leave them to their own devices. So again, the majority of the period of time, we want them to work during global learning hours, not after hours, because that's just taking away from your work then. So during time, they're going to obviously do their work after you give me lessons. But we have so far for the first few weeks put together these worksheets or these formats that they can go ahead and start typing in, hey, what is my topic? What's my environmental issue? How does it affect social justice? All right, what are my 5 words I'm going to use? So as long as they fill in these charts that we've made for them, week after week, we're going to guide them into making sure that they completely successfully do the rubric. All right, so if they fill this out with their 5 scientific words, right there is a part of the rubric that they've already nailed. So we're going to really try and gear them and guide them towards success. We want this to go well. And the big vision would be the project ends the week after spring break. That's in the here. The project ends the week after spring break, which is in April. It would be awesome when we return, if we are in person, to have an opportunity for the students to share their work with their peers. We've already talked to Ms. Blue about it. We don't know how it's going to work. We don't know how yet to deal with the social distancing and all that yet. But it'd be great to have an opportunity where we'd be in a cafeteria or auditorium or something like that, and we could actually share. Someone who wrote a poem could go up front and read the poem out loud. Someone who built a prototype can go up and say, "Hey, look at what I made. Here's a video of what I produced." Just a chance for everybody to celebrate the work that they've done and learn from each other. If we're not back in person, then we'll just post it on Google Classroom for everybody to see. Maybe during our global learning periods, maybe for 2 weeks, we'll let the kids share in their class time what they did. It'd be really great for the kids to hear and learn from their own peers, to get excited about the work. We've already got some students who are, excited about the projects they're doing in some classes, so we're hoping that this one goes well too. One other thing is this: that if we use, say a student wants to write a letter to Congress and they go to Mr. Chandler for support, when and where can they go get that support? Well, we know that you guys have office hours, but we do not want to use up your office hour time for global learning, because students who go to your office hours should be going there for help for your main curriculum. So we already talked to other teachers and they're okay with it. So let's let you guys know if that during global learning time, when you're doing your check-in time with the kids, so they're free, they're working, they're still logged into your home screen, so you're still watching them, but they're just doing their work in their desks or at home, wherever they may be. If you could maybe open up your office hour link so that once they take an attendance in homeroom, you've done your spiel, they're now working on their own. If a student who's in Ms. Hope's class wants to go to Mr. P to get help for an engineering prototype, maybe he's stuck on a part of it, he could call into his office hour link during global learning time and ask Mr. P for help, and vice versa. So again, we don't expect you guys to do that during your normal office hours, but during global learning for that 110 period of time, if you're already finished in the first 15 minutes and the kids are not working, can you open up your office hours or figure out a way that you can allow students to come visit you from other classes who need help? They don't have to stay with you forever then, but they can ask you questions, then they can go back. We really want them to be able to get guidance and help from you guys if possible during that time. Well, I think that's all I really have. Thank you guys so much. We really appreciate your support. Reach out to me if you have any questions, okay? Take care.